All right,
Welcome
hello.
to Hello. Sorry. Can you edit this, or is this just one
Yeah,
continuous
this
thing?
will be, we can edit out whatever we want to at the
Okay,
end,
cool.
but so just feel free to speak openly. We are Give Me the Remote, or GMTR for acronym
Welcome to the podcast that's a safe space for all the couch potatoes out there. We are a brother and sister podcast.
Yeah, just a note for you already. You're standing a little too close to the microphone, I think. So
Okay,
it's
is
like,
this like how close do you have to be to the microphone? Like this?
I don't think you need to be like on it. Just
Like
like,
okay,
that's a
fine.
little,
It's
yeah,
like
I
a
think
mic.
that's,
Okay, this is good.
yeah, that's
Okay,
perfect. I can
all
hear you
right.
great.
Okay.
So
Should
yeah,
we
so
start
we
again?
no, I think this is all
Oh, okay.
usable information. Um, so what did you say already? We're brother and sister. We like
Okay,
watching
wait, but
TV.
we should do it like an opener, like a little bit of like a.
Uh,
No. Okay, can I do it like
yeah,
that?
go do it again. Do it again.
All right. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is welcome.
This is welcome to Give Me the Remote, a safe space for all the couch potatoes that can't get enough of your favorite shows and movies. We're your hosts, a brother and sister, raised on.
Well, we were raised on Family Guy and How I Met Your Mother and the Avengers movies. Do you agree, brother?
Yeah, mostly sitcoms from the early 2000s and beyond.
I'm
Uh,
Anne, your older cringy sister,
I'm
and a
Joe.
millennial.
I'm Joe, but Anne will call me Joe Paul, and I'll call Anne Redmia from
That's
time to time.
disgusting. I hate it.
That's all right, fine. Then I'll be Joe. You can be Anne.
No, I'm kidding. I
Okay,
actually love being called
all
Romeo.
right, all right, all
Um,
right.
all
So,
right.
as you could probably tell from the episode description, because you read that so carefully, we're here to talk about The Pit,
Yeah,
the hottest medical TV show on TV
right
or
now.
streaming. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're
Um,
both we're both doctors. Well, I'm a
uh,
doctor,
yeah.
and in a
I'm a not really a doctor yet. Doctor.
in about a month you'll be a doctor. Are you excited?
Uh, Scared. I think watching
Scared?
the show made it even more terrifying. As we talk about in the show, the medical students are doing things that I don't think most medical students ever do, which
Yeah,
is,
like that. I personally don't love medical shows usually because of the inaccuracies, but I have to say this show was pretty damn close to what I feel like it is like to work in a hospital.
yeah, and even in my limited experiences and my 3 week emergency medicine rotation, I think it seems pretty accurate to what the ED is like.
Well, let's get into it. And as a warning to all the people out there listening, I
Oh,
don't
spoiler alert. Oh, is that what you're going
know.
for?
No. I realized I said all the people out there listening, and then I was like, no one's probably listening.
I mean, eventually.
But anyway, spoiler alert to all the people that are listening that have not yet watched the finale episode. We will be spoiling the finale. So
And
if you
pretty
have
much the rest of the
yeah,
series.
pretty much the
This
entire
is
season so far. So please, if you haven't watched it, watch it and then come back and listen, and then you'll have a great time listening to it.
and
Um,
that is the hope. I think of this as like your post-watch Googling of like, oh,
yeah,
where were these actors in before? This is
yeah,
that.
like the
Instead
half
of doing
hour
that,
to
come here and listen to us
yeah. Like the half hour
instead.
to hour that you spend looking up all the actors and what the producers and directors said about the show. I mean, listen to our opinions. I don't know. But anyway, let's talk about the opening scene. So, the last episode before the finale, we left off with this cliffhanger where the police come in, they're arresting Dr. McKay, the resident, because she put a screwdriver or something into her
An
ankle.
IO. She's
Oh
inserted
yeah,
an
she was like,
IO into
oh
her drill into her ankle monitor.
yeah, what an amazing way. Like, I love that cliffhanger. I also loved that is how they opened this
Hmm.
finale episode. Because I feel like this whole season has had these like nuances of, oh, like, you'll save these lives and then people will kind of stab you in the back. Like when Dana, the charge nurse, got punched in the face by the patient because his
Uh-huh.
wait time was too long. I feel like this series is really good about kind of the, I don't know, like, do you say lack of gratitude in the healthcare system?
Yeah,
Or,
I think that that kind of like I don't know, unsung hero,
yeah,
that whole
healthcare
vibe
heroes.
is, yeah, healthcare heroes.
Like, here's your slice of
Unfortunate.
pizza
Yeah,
type
you just
vibes,
get,
yeah.
yeah, you can do the greatest things in the world, but then like
Not, I mean,
people,
not the great, like, I mean, let's not,
well, on the show at
on the
least, I
show,
think
right,
they're,
on the
yes,
show,
on
they're
the show
doing
they're killing it
insanely, yeah,
every
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
or
wouldn't,
that one day.
yeah, I mean, I'm a hospitalist. I don't feel like I'm like a superhero.
Uh-huh. But you have your moments.
But yeah, we have our moments, and it feels like the amount of gratitude sometimes does not equate the amount of work and effort and care. And so it was really like amazing for them to open the scene. They've just managed this mass casualty, this mass shooting. They've stabilized over 100 patients, and then they are arresting one of the doctors that did it, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think, I
So,
mean, even you touched on the criminality element of being a resident and
mhm.
then committing a crime. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know, have you had any experience committing a crime as a
I
resident?
have never committed a crime. I've never been
Uh-huh.
charged with a crime.
Very good.
But I do think that residencies take criminal charges very seriously. I do think they make exceptions, and so I don't think it's impossible that Dr. McKay has a criminal charge and is working as, as a resident.
Uh-huh.
Um,
But I guess it's probably more situationally dependent, um,
yeah,
with what you can kind of get away with. Like, obviously, if
right.
you murder somebody, you're not going to be
Right. I think,
practicing as a resident. But like in this
yeah,
situation, it sounded like it was like a custody battle that she had a restraining
right.
order against somebody. I don't know.
In
It was kind
residency,
of vague.
it's like your program director ultimately holds all of your entire life in their hands. So if the PD is like, you know what, I hear your story, we will make an exception for you, then fine. And I don't know, is Robbie the program director or is
I, he's the head of the department, and I feel like those
oh
two
okay.
roles are
Right.
different. Although I think they just kind of melded it all together for the
Yeah,
sake of the
yes.
story.
I
Yeah.
do think that Dr. Robbie is the kind of program director that would be very like compassionate in that
Yeah.
situation. On the other hand, you have Langdon, Dr.
Yeah.
Langdon,
Who's
who's
kind of
gonna
on
get
the other, he
fired.
had an opportunity, but he had the opportunity to kind of go the legit route,
Yeah,
take the proverbial ankle monitor and put it on and be kind of on a leash for the next,
right.
well, the rest of his residency. But then he
Yeah,
kind of threw that out the window and he just kind of yelled
right.
at Dr.
So
Robbie.
let's go through his kind of storyline in parallel with Dr. Santos, right?
Uh-huh.
The intern and the senior resident. I did not see that twist coming
I
when
didn't.
it was revealed that he was, in fact,
Yeah.
like, abusing substances. I thought it was interesting that the substance that he was, one of the substances that he had hoarded was Librium.
Uh-huh.
That's not something that I would think is something that people would hoard to get high off of.
Yeah. No, that
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I think that's what he was trying to kind of convey to Dr. Robbie too, is that he's just
Hmm.
trying to treat his withdrawal from taking other pain medications, I guess. But
Hmm.
it just seems like, if you're in withdrawal, clearly
Yeah.
you have other problems.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. They did drop some hints. Like I think they kind of showed he was having trouble with his marriage, and his wife was calling him and like not letting him see his kids and stuff. So it was kind of hinted towards, but I just did not see it that he would be abusing substances at work. And I also did not like the character of Santos, Dr. Santos. I did not like her at all.
But I think that was kind of the point though, right? Like
Hmm.
that she's kind of this unlikable character who's trying to kind of find a reason to not like Dr. Langdon, who comes off as the more likable one.
Fair.
But at the end, she's proven right. Like everything she did was right. And
Yeah,
then, yeah,
I know. I just hated her from the beginning. But you're right. Her
yeah,
storyline, on the other hand, was one of you start off just absolutely hating her. You think she's cocky and ridiculous and full of shit. And then by the end of it, she's offering the medical student a place to live.
okay.
In the
And
most
even
like,
yeah,
yeah,
and then her whole storyline with the hemoglobinemia patient was like
right.
that was really powerful too, because she finally like even from the beginning when she was
Mm-hmm.
trying to, I think it was the patient that OD'd on fentanyl but was like revived with Narcan, like the
Mm-hmm.
college girl.
Mm-hmm.
She was trying to like distract them from like what had just happened. She's like, "Oh, what classes are you taking? What are you doing this?"
Right.
But then like by the end of the show,
Mm-hmm.
by the end of her shift, she's like kind of shifted into this mindset of being like, "Let me like actually talk to the patient. Let me
Yeah.
like find out like what's going on in their life. Let me share what's going on in my life."
Mm-hmm.
And kind of actually connect instead of trying to distract them from like what's going on,
You
which
know
I
what's
think is a huge
crazy
shift. Yeah.
though?
Uh-huh.
I feel like I am Dr. Santos like 75% of the time. Like I am that unlikable person that just comes across a little bit rough, but I do feel like at the end of the day, I do end up like I do like truly care and like try to do good work.
Uh-huh.
But I am a little bit of a bitch. Like I think that is how I come across a
I
decent
don't
amount of the
know.
time.
I
Yeah.
think people, you think you're probably worse than you ever actually
Maybe,
are.
maybe. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think it'd be interesting to go to people that I work with and be like, what character do you think I am? I do think most people will just be like, oh, you're Javati or Samira because they're Indian.
Just a visual
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
representation.
Do we think that Javati actually even wants to be a doctor?
I think so. I
Mm-hmm.
think she wouldn't be as like go-gettery, I feel like I think she does actually care about taking care of patients. She wants to do well. I think that
Right.
all of that, she does want to do medicine. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
more just she doesn't want to feel like she's being micromanaged by her mom, or like even have her mom be anywhere. Like she doesn't want her mom to be her mentor. I think she just wants to have a regular mom who's just like everyone else in her medical school, probably like someone who's just there for support and like
Mm-hmm.
to talk to about, like she doesn't want that kind of like, I don't know, overbearing mentor mom.
That's fair. The reason that I bring this up is that elevator scene at the end of their shift, granted this was after they were working for like 14 hours at that point.
Uh-huh.
But she had this conversation with Samira where Samira was like high on life and she was like, "Oh my God, like I can't wait to see the next case." And then Javati's like, "Oh, I never want to do medicine ever again after today," which
But
is
like
totally fair.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people have had that experience though. I'm sure you
True.
have, after many shifts, been like,
Hmm.
I would easily walk out and never come back again.
That's true.
Yeah. I
That's true.
think that's just like, if
Yeah.
on a particularly bad day, I mean, that's just a natural. Even at any job, anyone
Hmm.
could walk out and be like, I don't want to come back to this,
Yeah.
but
I
you do.
think that is kind of where this being one of the most accurate shows that has ever depicted medicine, because they kind of, for the first time, made the doctors real people, made the nurses real, actual characters, not just people that hook up in the call room, like in Grey's
Uh-huh.
Anatomy, or you know, House, where they're kind of like almost too intelligent to be realistic. Like,
Uh-huh.
oh, like in House they were doing things that just did not even that they weren't even close to reality.
Because I think that's like, even it's not even that they're even like in real life that doctors are trying to be like super intelligent half the time. It's just like
Hmm.
they're just trying to do a job, and like I feel like
Right.
that's like, it's, I
Right.
think it tackles that side of it more than like
Yes.
there's this crazy genius who's coming up with this crazy obscure diagnosis that no real doctor
Exactly.
would ever see, like will
Hmm.
only see maybe like once every 20 years, and then they make that one crazy diagnosis every episode, which is just
Right.
like, it doesn't seem that real.
No, like I love that this show is like, oh, there's a patient. We need to get a workup. these are
Uh-huh.
the treatments. And then on the other hand, on the other side of it, you don't just have a patient that's like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you, doctor. You saved my life. They're like real people. Like, for example, the parents that showed up in the second to last episode and the finale that were anti vaxxers. And they have a presumptive diagnosis and they have a way to
Uh-huh.
get the diagnosis, but then they have real patients on the other end that are like, you will absolutely not do a spinal tap on my son.
Yeah, which I mean is just very frustrating to watch.
It's so frustrating to watch. It's so frustrating to watch. But
Yeah,
it's reality. And I feel
yeah,
like this job did such a good job of keeping things authentic. Not everything is perfect. It's not this like beautiful sequence of like, oh yeah, like we diagnosed this like
uh-huh.
arbitrary thing. We're heroes. No, it's like we're real people just trying to do a job.
And I think
Um,
that's
mhm,
the other thing was like the pacing of the show was very, I mean, probably a little bit fast for
mhm.
what a real ED might be like on any given day normally, but especially towards the
Yeah,
end, like back, like during a mass casualty event, obviously
right.
the stuff that's
It's a
happening
little different.
is
Nothing that
very
I've
different.
ever
Yeah,
remotely
me neither.
experienced.
So like maybe it is very accurate to what would
Hmm.
happen in an MCI, but I think it kind of the show wasn't a one shot. Like it
Hmm.
wasn't like one camera going through the whole thing, but it did
Oh,
kind of have that vibe
yeah, it
where it
gave me
was
that
just
kind of
like,
sense.
and I think I was kind of like reading about what how they were filming the show, and it's all filmed in
Hmm.
continuity. So like everything happens like they film every like the shifts were filmed in order of the shifts happening. And
Oh,
like all the scenes within the shift are happening, they filmed those within order too. So like
I did not know that.
even though it's not like a one shot, they are just kind of moving from room to room to room in
Oh,
sequence. And sometimes they
that's
are doing it
amazing.
in like one shot here, one shot there, but like it does happen. And even though there's multiple cameras and they're cutting between the two of them, it is
Hmm.
happening in one shot, which is why it kind of has that feeling of and that pace of things just keep moving forward.
Oh, I did not know that. That is
That's
amazing.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That really kind of makes the actors like that much more impressive to me because that is a
Yeah.
lot of choreography and coordination. I'm trying to think of something. I think we watched it recently about like the it was like a single camera thing. Oh God, what was it that we recently?
Adolescence? Was it Adolescence? No.
Yes, it was
Okay,
Adolescence.
yeah, yeah, I watched
Yo,
that
did
too.
you watch
I
Adolescence?
watched
Okay, we're
Adolescence.
gonna have to have another episode about
Yeah, we can
Adolescence.
talk about
Yeah,
Adolescence
yeah, yeah.
later.
Okay, because I was like, what am I? Why is this reminding me of something? Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
no, that's what made
Adolescence.
me think of it too. Not at all the same show, but
No.
definitely the pacing and sometimes kind of felt similar, especially in like the first episode of Adolescence, where you're just kind
Hmm.
of things just keep happening and happening, and then it kind of keeps rolling forward. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. These are shows that are not meant to be watched, like, that are not meant to be binged or watched, like, half-heartedly. These are shows that are meant to, you sit down once a week and you consume this, is the
Yeah,
intention, I think. Yeah.
I think yeah, it's definitely not a you can watch it in the background show.
No. And
It's there's just too much happening.
like me and Hunter, we would sit down and we would watch one episode, and even if there were more episodes we had to catch up on, we would be like, "No, this is it. We did our hour of work. We did our hour in the hospital. Now we're gonna watch something lighter because these can be pretty heavy episodes."
Yeah, no, and I think it's more for people that aren't in medicine, as much as people in
Yeah.
medicine also really love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think even our parents are like they're
Oh
fully into the
yeah.
show and
Yeah, I mean,
they don't really have any
I think for
they
the
usually
first time
yeah.
they're like, "Oh, this is what you do when you
Yeah.
go to work." Not that I'm not an ED doctor, so not to this intensity by any means. But like I feel like no matter what your specialty is, if you're in the hospital, there are similar levels of stress just in
And
terms of
everyone yeah,
yeah,
and everyone goes through the ED. Like it's not
right.
even
Right.
it's so you get your exposure.
Yeah.
And even as a resident, you rotated, I'm sure, through the ED and
Oh, right.
were
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
them. So
I will say ED residents were some of the nicest um chillest residents that I worked with as a med student. I don't know if you would agree with that.
I agree. They were always very nice,
Mm-hmm.
if not distracted and busy doing other
Yeah.
things, but
I
they
feel
were
like
also very nice.
a lot of ED residents I met may or may not have had a little bit of ADHD, but like they chose a specialty that very much fits that because it is your
Yeah,
attention being pulled in 10 million directions, constant stimulation.
which seems tiring
Good
for
fit, yeah.
most people.
All right, let's keep breaking down the last episode, and how they kind of close the loop on some of the cases. One of which was the kid with the list of girls that he may or may not
Mm.
wanted to hurt. Um, what did we think about him? And how much did we think he was the mass shooter?
I didn't think he was the mass shooter
Mm-hmm.
because it just seemed like it would put so much more weight on all the decisions Dr. Robbie made in the morning. And
True.
I think it would, I think the whole character would have like imploded on himself
Yeah,
after if he realized that he had let the mass shooter go and then had caused all this
right.
terror. But like, I think as a whole, the character worked really well because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it was a very realistic, maybe not realistic. I don't know. I haven't had that kind of experience, but like
Mm-hmm.
kind of similar to adolescence as we bring it up with the whole like whole aspect of I don't know how you would define masculinity and how different people can react to those pressures.
Mm-hmm. I have to be honest, I was a little unsatisfied with the conclusion of his storyline. While I'm glad that they confirmed, like, oh no, he wasn't the mass shooter, I still think we were left in question, like, oh, what was he going to do with that list? Like, I think, right? Like, it was heavily
I mean,
suggested.
I think it was I think the idea was that like he was like on the same timeline
Mm-hmm.
of being a mass shooter, but just like thanks to his mom and her bringing him in, he
Mm-hmm.
hopefully got off that timeline and is like gonna get help and not kind of
I
keep
see.
going down this path of making hit lists and eventually getting so frustrated with life that he just wants to do something drastic.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of leads me into my next like thought about the show overall. It seems like the show sometimes would interrupt like the flow of things to be like, here is a hot topic that we want to discuss, like
Mm.
violence against healthcare workers, mass shooting, anti-vaxxers, substance abuse
Fentanyl.
as yeah,
Yeah.
fentanyl, substance abuse as a healthcare provider. Did you feel that sometimes that kind of broke up the show's like uh what is it, like the immersion that you had, right? Like,
I don't necessarily think so. I think they did a good job of like very doing a good job of like integrating all of these storylines
hmm
into the show. I mean, I don't think it ever felt like, oh, we're doing a measles episode, like it's I think it was more like this is real. Like a patients are now dying of measles again
true.
and it could come into the ED. I mean, obviously they were very cognizant of picking some of these cases, like the
Yeah,
fentanyl
right.
overdose and substance abuse and
hmm
the measles case, especially because it's
hmm
very topical, and that's what TV is supposed to be. It's supposed to be
True.
topical, and I think they did a good job of kind of keeping it all well integrated.
That's fair. I think specifically the scene I'm thinking about, which is sad because Dana, the charge nurse, was literally my favorite character, and her getting assaulted by that patient, like, it just broke my heart. But the scene after where Robbie goes back into like and talks to the staff about it, and they like are like, oh, like, did you know that violence against healthcare workers is like a growing issue? It
Yeah,
felt in that
that
moment,
that part
yeah,
was very unrealistic. I remember that
right.
moment. I remember thinking, okay, this is their
Yeah.
soapbox
It was
moment.
so
They're just trying
boxy,
to
right?
it was they're
Yeah.
informing, but that I mean that's the point though, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they wanted to inform people of the realities, and some of that just can't happen naturally. I think
Naturally, yeah.
like yeah, there's
Yeah.
just no better way to do it.
But I did like. that this domino effect of Dana getting assaulted ultimately led her by the end of the shift to she's pulling off her photos. She's like, she's done. She's not coming back to work. And
Uh,
I think that around the pandemic and after the pandemic, that is definitely a trend. Healthcare workers are leaving the bedside. And I did like how the show kind of subtly kind of was like, she's gone, she's leaving.
yeah, I mean, I is she gone? I mean,
Is
they're
she
gonna make
gone?
a season two. I feel like she'll probably be back in
Yeah,
some
right,
capacity.
right.
Um, but yes, I think that is kind of realistic about like the burnout that everyone in healthcare probably faces, and
Mhm.
I haven't had that yet, but I'm
You
sure
haven't had it
as a
yet? Not even
resident,
as a med student?
as a
No,
resident,
I'm
I'm
kidding.
sure people will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that the burnout that they've shown, like I think they did a good job showing the burnout. Like you
uh-huh.
have the first thing, I forget his name, standing at the top of the roof. That is the beginning of the entire season. And then at
Uh-huh.
the end of the season, you have Robbie standing at the top of the roof. And it's just like, oh my God, this is so sad, but it is like a great like
A
it,
circular
yeah,
storytelling. Yeah, it
it's
feels
like yeah,
very
right?
satisfying to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause like at the beginning of the season, when you start with that first episode, you're like, "Oh my God, it's like a beautiful day." Like, I don't get why this guy's standing on the top of the roof. Maybe he has issues. And then you go through the entire day that
Uh-huh.
this ED doctor's gone through, and they're like, I get it. Like, super sad, but I get it. I get why you're on that rooftop.
Yeah. Yeah, because it felt dramatic at the beginning where I was like, oh
Yeah,
geez, this guy is so like
right.
turned off already. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's on the roof. But then yeah.
Like you think,
Also,
yeah,
yeah, also regarding Dr. Abbott, crazy that I mean they were really great about not
the prosthesis.
revealing the prosthesis. Yeah, I mean it was one of those things that it just like at the very end and then you're just like, whoa. I mean it makes sense given the character and his history, but like it was just a cool thing to see.
Yeah. No, I mean, wow. Like all the more respect to him. Um, I did want to touch base on a character that unfortunately was not in the finale, and I'm so surprised that she didn't even at least
I
pop her.
really thought she would come in
Yeah,
for the last shift
like
or yeah,
yeah,
at some point in the
or like maybe like run in after the mass casualty had been like stabilized and like be like,
uh-huh.
oh no, I just got this on my phone,
Yeah.
like I can't believe whatever. I'm so sad she wasn't in the finale. Dr. Collins, she was just like a very stable, like professional resident.
Uh-huh.
Um, I do think that this was one of their many like not soapbox, but like, oh, we're gonna comment on a overall trend thing. Her having a miscarriage,
Uh-huh.
like
I
female, yeah.
I didn't know that it was.
Oh,
I
you did know,
you made a note in our like pre-show notes of
yeah,
the statistics, but I did not know that that was
yeah.
such a prevalent thing.
A
Which is
survey of
yeah,
692 female surgeons published in JAMA Surgery in July of 2021 found that 42% had suffered a pregnancy loss, more than double the rate of the overall population. Additionally, nearly half of the surgeons surveyed had experienced pregnancy complications. You didn't, I
I
mean,
didn't know
you're
that
not
at
a
all.
woman,
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't have. Yeah, that's crazy. That's
yeah.
really sad.
What were your thoughts when you saw that plot point? Did you what did you think like, oh, like this is just like a storyline on a show or like,
I purely thought it was just a storyline on the show. I didn't realize I didn't have
oh,
any soapboxy
yeah, you didn't get
uh
any soapboxy
soapbox
vibes,
vibes
yeah.
from it. Yeah, it was purely just man, this is like a tough situation for a really
Mm-hmm.
in a really like it's just a sad moment for this
Yeah.
character and
I
yeah.
think that is a strength of this show that it had so many soapboxy moments that maybe I picked up on because I'm in healthcare, but they did a good job of kind of weaving it into the story flow so that most people maybe didn't notice that they were soapbox moments. I
Yeah.
think this is a good example of it because there was no moment where they're like statistically like female,
Yeah.
like it just kind of happened and it was super sad.
But then I kind of that's why I feel like it's kind of good to have those
Mhm.
statistics, at least for me, at least, because then it's
Yeah,
like it stops just being a character on a show and it becomes
right,
more real. Like this is what's happening in reality. Which
right.
is, I mean, I guess for the reality of the show, it didn't really make sense for Dana to be like, yeah, I mean, 42%
Yeah,
have
I
suffered a
know.
pregnancy. Yeah, like that, it made sense not to do that, but it's good
Yeah,
to know now that that's based in very much in reality, unfortunately.
yeah. What were your thoughts on Samira on the other end, who just seems fully committed to putting her whole life into medicine and just like forgetting about having a real life, which they didn't really comment on, but there were signs. Because, yeah, I mean, like, you probably have thoughts on this.
I didn't pick up on that too much. I
Yeah.
mean, it makes sense in hindsight, like given how
Hmm.
committed she is to patients and like
Yes.
how willing
Hmm.
she is to go the extra mile, which is great. But obviously, it comes at a toll, and I think for her that toll was maybe having a personal life or something to go home to.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of really showed at the this last episode where she just doesn't want to leave, which
She doesn't
is
want to leave.
concerning.
Cannot relate.
Yeah,
Cannot relate
yeah.
to that. Yeah.
I fully when she was just like visually like buzzing, I was like,
Hmm.
is she like on something
Is she
too?
also on drugs?
Is this a Dr. Langdon situation again?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just both the adrenaline and then also her just
Hmm.
not having anything to go home to or any support
Yeah.
system maybe outside of the hospital. So when she goes home, it's just like it's even more heartbreaking for her.
Hmm. Who was the character with the sister? Mel.
Mel, yeah.
Mel. I thought it was so interesting because she is the person that I thought would not have a life
Mm,
in episode one. I love the storyline that no, like she doesn't have like a boyfriend, but she has a life outside of work that she loves.
mhm.
Like she loves her sister. She loves taking care of her and spending time with her. I thought that
And
was
you
really
could
cool.
yeah, and she was like very regimented about like
Uh-huh.
taking time outside. Like you would pretty regularly you would see her
Yeah,
sitting in the stairwell just like meditating, looking at her phone, or
love
like
it.
going outside and just taking a deep breath, doing some like affirmations, things like
Mm-hmm.
that, which is just like clearly it shows because she's probably I feel like the most despite going through the same things everyone
Yeah.
else went to, seemed to be the
Mm-hmm.
most grounded and
Yeah.
capable out of
Oh,
everyone there.
she was so
Yeah.
impressive because she was realistic. Like, there
Uh-huh.
are definitely people in healthcare that have great coping strategies, and
Uh-huh.
it shows.
Yeah.
I am not one of them. But I've seen it. I've seen it. I've
Yeah.
seen the
Yeah.
people that are very level-headed. They stay that way all day. You could throw anything at them, and they go home on time, and they have
Uh-huh.
boundaries. And I thought that was really cool to see.
Yeah. And I think that was, and it was realistic too, because it wasn't like nothing was phasing her.
Yeah.
Like you could see that things were phasing her, and then it would build up, and then she'd go outside and she'd like take a
Yep.
minute, meditate, come back, and then be
Hmm.
right as rain, ready to hit the next
Or like
patient.
FaceTime her sister real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Check in on
Which is,
her.
that's very realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I also loved the interaction between Langdon and her, where at first he was like, "Oh, like an intern, like she can't teach me anything," and
Uh-huh.
then they had that lovely moment in one of the earlier episodes where she knew how to like navigate that autistic patient, and he
Uh-huh.
was like, "Oh my God, I have stuff to learn from you."
Yeah. Is she
Yeah,
an intern? I thought she was like a.
yeah, it was her first day. Was it not?
It was her first day at the ED because she was at
Oh,
the
she was at
VA
the VA.
before.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I feel like she seemed like an internal medicine resident. In my brain, I was seeing her as an internal medicine resident who's just rotating through the ED for like the month or something,
Oh, really?
or a
Oh my
few
God.
weeks, and then. But I
Let's,
don't know.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
actually, now that you say internal medicine, which is my specialty, I
Mhm.
do want to get into that for a second. Because as realistic as this show is, which most realistic show I've seen depicting medicine, there were some liberties that the show took for purposes of storytelling.
Mhm.
Because even as a med student, I think you know the line that the ED stops at and where inpatient
Mhm.
medicine takes over or other
Yeah.
specialists take over, right?
Mhm.
So, like some of these episodes where they had the patient that was intubated and they saw them all the way through intubation, through extubation, palliative care, all of that stuff, those things
Those
typically don't
discussions
happen.
aren't happening.
Yeah,
Yeah, those discussions aren't happening in the ED.
right. Like, I don't know. I just never, I haven't seen that full completion. The ED usually has put that patient up in the hospital by the time we
Uh-huh.
get to that point.
Or
Yeah,
the ED is just not managing the patient at all, really, and they're just in the ED. Which, but I mean, they
right.
addressed boarding a lot, and especially early on
Fair.
in the season. But
Yeah,
I think maybe the unrealistic part is the fact that the ED is still very much actively managing the patient when they're
correct.
still when they realistically
Correct.
would have already been admitted, but maybe they're still downstairs.
Yeah, and so the realism, the reality of that in real life is if a patient is boarded in the ED but admitted to the hospital, the ED doctor's no longer around on that patient.
Okay.
That patient, even though they're physically in the emergency department, is the responsibility of the inpatient doctors, the
Okay.
hospitalists, or the specialists that have admitted that patient to their primary service. So the
Yeah.
ED no longer has much to do with the patient unless the patient, something happens and the ED is just physically there and they
Yeah.
kind of help out. They are no longer primarily responsible though.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is, I think, a good distinction to make.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
hard from a storytelling
From a
standpoint for them.
storytelling,
Yeah,
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 right.
yeah.
That's not very satisfying,
Yeah, yeah. You want to
right?
see these patients like all the way through their course, which is
Yes.
kind
Yeah.
of what they tried to do as much as they could.
Yeah, which I totally appreciate, and I mean, I'm fine with that from a storytelling standpoint. I think have we talked about all of the other characters? Because I was gonna launch into Robbie.
Um, I think we did.
Whitaker,
Oh, the Whitaker.
Huckleberry.
Yeah,
I loved
he
him.
was very nice. Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked him too.
I thought
Very
he was a
likable,
yeah.
kind of guy.
I thought him and Giavotti. I mean, I liked him better. He was just a sweet guy that had a lot of terrible things happen to him during his shift. Poor guy,
Uh,
and he's
yeah,
homeless.
and he's homeless.
And he's
Which
homeless.
again, a twist I did not see coming
Twist
at
I didn't see, but
all.
it was so
Yeah.
cute. I actually thought that was a cute way to
Yeah,
end it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think
Um.
it helped both his storyline and Santos's storyline very much
Right.
to have them
Yeah.
kind of come together at the end,
I
especially
actually.
given how much she was like teasing him the whole
Yeah.
the season.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I should still call him Huckleberry. Maybe they'll date. Maybe they'll start dating. Yeah.
Uh,
Doubtful.
I don't know. I think her and that surgery resident have their own thing going on.
Oh, you think her and the trauma surgery resident are gonna get together?
Yeah, right? Isn't that not what they
Oh,
were hinting at the whole time?
I did not pick up on
She
that.
was like, they were like flirting the whole time.
They were
I,
flirting.
I, yeah,
I
they
thought it was more of like an
definitely.
older resident intern. I did not pick up on that.
No, it was very much,
No.
yeah. That's why even Langdon was like picking up on it too and
No,
being
but I
like,
thought it was more of like a big sister, little sister thing. Oh my
I
God.
don't know. I mean, we can look it up later, but I
I
think that's
probably,
what most
no, I
people
mean,
would be
you
wanting
know what though? I don't have any gaydar whatsoever. Um,
as a millennial.
a lot of personal life experiences, embarrassing
Uh-huh.
personal life experiences where my gaydar would have been very beneficial. So yeah, I mean, I believe you. I probably just didn't pick up on it.
Fair enough.
That's crazy. Okay, well then I was so wrong about that. What was I gonna say about Whitaker? Oh, as much as I loved him, I've never seen or known of a med student, and I could be wrong, that can do an IO.
Oh no.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
without like someone literally
without, yeah,
there
yeah, without
doing
someone
it
like
with him.
holding their
Yeah.
hand. Yeah, like there were things, especially during the mass casualty, which I get, like all hands on deck. There were things he was doing that I was like, I don't think any med student, a
Or
third
even
year.
yeah. Oh, he's fourth year.
Oh,
He's a
he's a
fourth year.
fourth year. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But even
yeah.
Giovanni was like putting in a chest tube, and I was like,
Yeah, I was like, bruh,
sure.
bruh. Like, I don't know about that. That is a little bit of liberty.
Mhm,
Which is interesting that they broke. Like, they did do some teaching, but then there were
mhm.
certain moments where they kind of broke the reality for the excitement of the show, which I totally get and appreciate, but it's just not realistic. Like, no med student
Well,
is running around with the drill, putting IOs in people.
yeah. What was realistic is him doing it and then having them be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. They need to be
Ew.
like unconscious. You need to you can't just be drilling
Oh my
people
God,
and they're
that
all
scene
alive
was
anyway.
insane. Dude, that scene was
Yeah.
insane. Oh God. Okay, let's talk about Dr. Robbie.
Mm.
What did you think of Dr. Robbie?
First thoughts were, oh, I've seen this guy in Leverage Redemption. Second
He
thoughts,
was? He was in Leverage?
He was in the remake of the show.
Oh my God. Okay, that's
Because
another episode.
because they recast the main OG guy because he got Me Too.
They replaced the lead guy because he got Me Too'd. And
Uh-huh.
so Noah Weil is now the leader of the gang in Leverage.
Pretty much, more or less.
When did
Yes.
Leverage Redemption come out? Was I like
Like
living under
three or
a rock?
four, like 3 or 4 years ago. I think the season 3 just came out too.
Wait, did they have all the other characters in it?
Hardison left for he had like other
He had his
shooting
own show,
responsibilities.
right?
Well, he was in like the Black Adam movie, so like he didn't have a ton of time, so he was like
Mhm.
in and out of the show.
Oh,
But
okay.
um
The
the
thief,
hitter
the
guy,
grifter.
the
Yeah.
grifter, they're all in it
Oh my
regularly.
God. Okay, we need to. Okay, future episode. Sorry. This
Sure,
episode
yeah.
is about the pit. I'm so
But okay, yes,
excited.
thoughts on Noah Wiley though. He was
Yeah.
really good. I thought the other thing that instantly triggered for me that not
Mhm.
related to the show at all. His voice is exactly the same as Nathan Fillion. Uh, his like if you closed your eyes and you were listening to him talk and you're
Oh my
listening to
God.
Nathan
From the
Fillion talk,
movie.
yeah, from The Rookie, he sounds exactly the same. Those thoughts aside, I thought he did a really good job of like. I think it's one of those things where usually they just like cast the most attractive person they could find for these
Mhm.
shows, and it's
Fair.
just like a little unrealistic. But he was like gruff and like very
Yeah.
real, and kind of had that the kind of the tiredness you could hear from his voice was just
Mhm.
all so good for the character, and
Yeah.
also his performance was just like he if he doesn't win like an Emmy or something, I don't know. That
Really? You think
seems
he could win an Emmy?
he like broke down crying like
Yeah, yeah,
three or
true.
four times.
The
I
tears
feel
will
like
get you
that's
an Emmy. The
I
tears
think
might
he,
get you an
and also
Emmy.
just I feel like he really put his heart into the role.
Yeah. How did we feel about him being on ER for like 15 years and then doing this show? Does that break the reality for you a little bit?
If anything, it enhances it, right? Because then
Yeah.
you could go back and watch ER and be like, oh, there's Dr. Robbie and his as a medical student training
Hmm.
and art and like gaining experience. But I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, different character, but it's cool to see him as a young
It
person
is,
also
yeah.
being a doctor. Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool because I was like, yeah, like he was like a young resident. Now you can like
Uh-huh.
pretend like he became like a veteran attending. My like Hunter, my
Uh-huh.
husband, for people that don't know, he hated it because I was like, oh, like did you
Um,
know that? I was like, oh, like did you know he was on ER for 15 years? And Hunter's like, stop, you're making him an actor. I wanted to believe that he was a real doctor, and now you've ruined it for me. I thought it was cool though. I think it's a
I
nice
think it
continuity thing.
yeah. And it's fun. Yeah, I watched like the first episode of ER just because I was
Hmm.
like, oh, I want to see what ER was like if it's
Yeah.
kind of similar to the Pit. But
How was
it
it?
was weird. I mean, it's because he starts off. It's his like first hit. He's a med student. It's
Oh,
his first day in the
how
ED,
adorable.
and he's like running around doing all these things, and he's just like kind of taking it all in, and you're like, wow, this is kind of cool.
That's so cute. Oh my God, now you're making me want to watch it.
Yeah,
Would you
which
watch a
is like,
second episode of VR? Or is it
yeah,
too
probably.
dated? Oh, really?
I don't know. I did. It was. I think it was hard to go from the Pit to the ER.
Yeah.
It might be. I think it would have probably been easier to go the other way around,
Yeah,
just because
yeah.
like once you've seen like the Pit and like modern medicine and how it's so accurately reflected, it's
Hmm.
hard to go back to
So
watching
like,
the ER where it's like I don't even know this world of like what this hospital like because I just wasn't alive, like I
yeah.
don't remember what hospitals were like in the 90s, so I don't not that none of it relates as
Yeah,
much
no,
to
I
me in
have
my
no idea what
experiences.
hospitals were like in the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
Um, I loved that Dr. Robbie to me felt like someone that I've talked to before, that I've worked with time and time again. He is there's always like an undertone of I am burnt out.
Uh-huh.
I am overwhelmed and I'm keeping it together and I'm putting on a strong face. I think the actor struck a good balance of it. He was
Uh-huh.
never like overly bright or like like he was always like a little tired. And that is
Yeah.
the reality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
And
like that.
his
Yeah.
humor was very much appreciated. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of also realistic, like
Yep.
the how he just kind of when he's most burnt out is also when
Mhm.
he, yeah, Dana points it out, is like, if you're, I know you're like not feeling great when you're making jokes that are
Yeah.
actually funny, because it's like that's where it comes from for him.
And I loved that he just lived in that sweatshirt all shift. He
Mhm.
wasn't walking around with his muscles out, like in the
Mhm.
scrubs. He was in his like raggedy old sweatshirt.
Oh yeah, no, not a white coat to
Not a
be
white coat,
seen.
not a white coat to be seen. I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah, very accurate. Um, okay. So I loved that the show did not have any music. There was no
Mm.
dramatic like, like especially when patients pass away and stuff, there was no like dramatic like instrumental, nothing.
Mhm.
Nothing. Nothing. You don't get anything throughout the show. But at the very end, after Robbie's done hanging out with the coworkers on the benches having some beers and stuff, pops in his AirPod and you finally get a little music.
Mhm.
I thought that was a subtle like now he's breathing. Like he's
Yeah,
been go 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 go, no music, no like instrumentals, and then pop it in. The show's really over.
and it was like full circle again moment. Him
Hmm.
walking into the ED with his headphones on, listening to the same song, I think, and
Yes.
then
Yes.
now you're seeing him at the end of his shift 15 hours later, finishing
Hmm.
that song and then going home.
I did not realize. Was it actually the same song?
It sounded so
You're like
familiar that I
95%
was like,
sure.
I'm pretty sure it was the same
Oh my
song
God,
that he's
can
just
we
finishing.
should we look this up?
Yeah, yeah. Let's see.
So it is the same song
Okay, yeah, okay.
because there's a
That makes
Washington Post article about it.
nice.
I love that. Oh my God. Wait, that is a great pickup. I didn't realize that. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't watch a lot of HBO shows. Like, I've watched Euphoria. Maybe I've watched, like, oh, I watched Insecure. But I
Oh,
typically, HBO, I think this is, for me, this was a unique HBO show. Like, I
oh.
typically, like, HBO shows, I think, like, a little raunchy, a little risque, like, stuff like that. I just thought this was a damn good television show.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been on any
Platform.
streaming service or
Yeah.
even network. I feel like this would have been fine for network TV too.
Yeah.
Although I think they would have shied away a little bit more away from some of the more hot button things like abortion and
Yeah.
maybe measles. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think things like that. But I think HBO was probably a good place for it.
Yeah. 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 Um,
Well, I think
any like final thoughts on the show or
I guess we could talk about the fact that they've already been confirmed for season two.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and
That's
I don't know,
awesome.
do you know any of what the next season's gonna be like? Because I mean, I don't want to. I
Or
mean,
like
I could be like,
thoughts or like predictions?
well, I'll give you some context. So the next season, it's gonna be taking place over July 4th weekend, um, in the ED,
Oh. Have they
and then
started filming?
I don't know if they've started filming yet, but I'm assuming they're like probably writing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the fact that they know that it's July 4th weekend. But I think it picks up like 10 months after this season ends.
Oh, wow. What will it be about? I think Dana will have come back.
Mm.
Um, I wonder if Collins and Robbie are gonna start dating again. Which
Mm.
super
I
inappropriate
didn't.
than attending dating
Yeah,
a resident.
yeah,
Never, I
and
don't.
it wasn't
Have I
even
seen
like,
it happen before? Yes.
but
But
like
is it allowed?
the
No,
fact,
people got fired.
the fact that it happened like even earlier, like
Yeah.
it's not even like she's a senior resident, he's an attending, and there's maybe a little bit less of a power dynamic, but like it probably
Hmm.
happened like a year or two ago when she was like,
A baby
I don't know,
resident?
yeah, like
Yeah.
clearly just a new resident, and he was an
Yeah.
attending, and which is
Yeah.
concerning. And
Yeah.
also,
Agreed.
I also felt was a little unnecessary and
Yeah, I thought,
unrealistic.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was just kind of
because
weird.
it didn't add anything. I feel like it didn't add
It
much
it
to their.
detracted also for me from his character because for
Yeah.
me he was like the ultimate attending.
Hmm.
And I think it took away from him being like, oh, that ultimate senior doctor. Like, kind of took away from that. I was like, oh, you're a
Yeah.
little unprofessional. But anyway, yeah, I do think that they will explore a storyline where they're dating. I think Huckleberry and Santos will be BFFs.
Mhm.
I think Langdon will still be there, but like actively going through his rehab program.
Oh, okay. You think they'll
Mhm.
make up after that big blowout in the parking lot?
It sounded like he was offering him the chance to do like rehab and stuff.
I know he was, but like
Yeah.
I feel like Dr. Langdon threw that out when he, came
But
back at
I
him with
feel
the
like,
you
yeah,
collapsed in the morgue and were
yeah,
crying
yeah.
and like,
Also,
yeah.
would never have talked to an attending that way as a resident, which is
Yeah, especially if
crazy.
you're the one who messed up and is needing
Yeah.
to like, yeah.
But I do think he will still be there, and I think he'll
Uh,
be like, I don't think he'll be on like probation or whatever.
maybe.
I think Giovanni and the tech will be actively dating.
So that was another thing.
Yeah,
The
wait, okay,
I
was
thought the
he
tech
dating McKay or was he
that's what
dating
I
Giovanni?
fully thought he was dating McKay
Me
because they
too.
were like,
Me
yeah, but
too.
maybe it was just
A
their
friendship.
friend. Maybe they're just
Yeah,
actually just friends. That's how
yeah,
it went.
yeah. Because at
Yeah,
the end, he kind of like invited Giovanni along and McKay wasn't there. So I was like,
yeah.
maybe.
Well, because she has a kid and
Yeah,
it's 10 p.m. and she wants to go home.
yeah.
But also,
Um,
yeah, it
yeah.
was an interesting side storyline.
But I think given the finale episode, they will be dating.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. But I think it'll be similar to this season. Like I think it will just end up being about the medicine like the first season was. I don't think they will delve too much into those like personal storylines because I don't think they want to be Grey's Anatomy. And I
Yeah,
don't think they want to be what House became in the later seasons. I think they really do want to commit to this just being an intense, almost like a
yeah,
thriller of a medical show.
yeah. I don't see it going past 3 seasons.
Yeah, agreed.
I think there's just not enough
Mm-hmm.
that they could maintain the quality and not have it devolve into like interpersonal drama to
I
keep it
give them
going.
I
Yeah.
give them 4. I don't think they'll go on forever. I think the conclusion will be either Robbie retiring or Robbie dying or like some major character. Yeah, like I think at some point there will
Yeah,
be
yeah.
a major character, one of the residents coming into the ER. Maybe it'll happen next season, where it is similar to a George situation in Grey's Anatomy, where one of their own come in and are close to death or die or are, like something very tragic. I
Mhm.
think will happen at some point. I don't know if it'll be
I
next
guess.
season. I don't know if it'll be the final season. Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to tune in and
Have to
see.
tune in. Yeah.
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
great
Well,
first episode. This was Give Me the Remote. We'll probably have socials up at some point.
yeah, we will link that
We were,
all in our description
yeah,
or
eventually.
whenever you'll see it somewhere,
You'll
and
see
then
it
you
somewhere.
can follow us for new episodes.
Yeah. This is
All
Anne.
right. This is Joe.
We're the brother and sister duo.
Yep. See you later.